Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Unversed podcast. Danny here. Today, we're going to be talking about Black Lagoon. So, this is a ongoing manga. Surprisingly, I thought this ended already, and I thought it was an anime at first too. Originally, recommended me by Miguel. So I figured, I got to check it out. And for the most part, I think it's entertaining. I think it's a good read. Character development off the chains for certain characters. But some of the character development I'm not a big fan of, to say the least anyway. So the main premise is we have our boy Rock, simple salaryman from Japan, and he gets caught up in some shady deals. Next thing you know, he's declared dead in Japan, has nowhere to go, so he ends up going with the Lagoon traders, involving Revy, and everybody else there, like Benny and Butch or Dutch, I forget his name, the person who owns the actual lagoon. So basically, it's just them taking jobs, sailing around, or just doing literally anything else. And I think for me, the first half is the best part, right? The first 50 or so chapters is the peak of Black Lagoon, because there was so much stuff that I wanted out of the series there. And once we get further on, leading up to where we are now, it's just not something that I really care for. See, the main thing that appealed to me was, we are seeing this crazy underground criminal world through the eyes of Rock. And that, I was like, I'm totally on board for that. That's cool. Because, Rock is relatable. And we slowly see more and more of how, the other main characters who are friends with Rock, who are always friendly, hit him with the hard truth about pretty much everything that goes on in that world. Like, it's not that simple, Rock, or you're so innocent, Rock. It's never gonna be like that type of deal. And that stuff is great. I think it's pretty good, especially what Rock does. He does it every arc that involves him, and it's like he just has to help somebody, right? He's too good of a person. And that's where we see the repercussions of trying to be a goody two-shoe in this corrupt world, and him learning that. Now, he did grow as a character. He did take a shift and finally put his foot down to decide, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do now. I don't like that. It was too drastic from the last situation he was involved with, right? In Japan, when he went back to Japan. I think that's the best arc, when they go to Japan, and there's just so much of him being conflicted about life at the moment. He couldn't even go to see his parents because they'll be disappointed in him, and hell, they'll probably think he's dead. And I think the other great parts too is when he's with Revy, because during all that stuff, he was just a normal dude. He had a normal life, and now he got thrown into this world by his choice. And then we see Revy's side, and it wasn't her choice. She's been in there since day one. And her seeing Rock complain about these things was really great stuff, like great content out of here, because that sheds a light more on Revy's background. And sure, we have like a broad sense, but then it kind of gets more into finer detail when we get into those situations. So I think that is the best that we can get, is just the Rock and Revy situations, And there's a point, like manga, like people just like to do this. It's a very concurrent thing in this type of media, where you give us an interesting world like this, and we're seeing it through the eyes of the main character, but, it's never enough, right? We want to see these other characters that they've introduced to do more things, so we step aside from the main cast and we go into this other group, right? Like there was a whole arc with, I believe it was Hotel Moscow, right? And like all this other stuff happening that didn't involve Rock or the Lagoon Traders, and sure, it was pretty good stuff, but at the same time, like, eventually it tied in, and I thought, well, did I just waste my time reading stuff that didn't involve the main cast? Because what was the point? like I said, it was still good, but it's just, I'm not here for, me personally, I'm not here for the setting. I'm here for the characters in the setting, right? Those are two very distinct things. Because you want character development, and sure, you could get it out of like other secondary characters, but it never really shows, because so far what this manga's done is the only people that are getting development is the main cast. And it's not even like the main cast. It's really just Rock changing, right? While everyone else is still the same. It's like everybody is waiting for Rock to catch up to them before they start to grow themselves. And I'm not really okay with that, because it does slow things down for the manga, right? Because chapter 1 to chapter 100, Revi is the same character, right? And sure, she seems a little bit more vulnerable now compared to chapter 1 with the time she spent with Rock. But then the other main cast, they don't really change. And revealing stuff about characters doesn't count as development, right? Like the nun, who is a supportive character for Revi. We get revealed her backstory, but that doesn't develop her at all. That just sheds more light on what her actions mean. So you're still kind of at step 1, right? And I mean, the world building is fantastic. That's the best aspect that this writer has, but I feel like it's only the best when it involves Rock and Revi, and it's only at its pure best when it was early on in the manga. Because now Rock is a totally different character that I didn't want him to become, right? Sure, he was conflicted, and maybe that's the part I liked, but I don't know, there's always a different route they could take, like, okay, route A and B pretty much, right? You have to make a decision. And they chose route B, in my opinion. Like, route A, I think, is what they should have done now. What could have been with Rock? Something similar, but more humane in a sense. Like, if you guys read it, or you know what I'm talking about, then you can tell, like, yeah, Rock, I don't know, because his personality now is what the world is. He didn't come up with a solution. He caved in and accepted what this world is. He didn't try to overcome it. And he even makes a comment about that, right? Because in a sense, if you're overcoming this world, you are the hero, right? The main character. And he pretty much stated he doesn't want to be that. He just wants to be the guy on the sidelines, just having fun. And I don't know, like in the beginning, he felt a lot more than just that. So, I mean, at one point, it kind of is interesting, but every time I just see that side of Rock pop out during these new arcs, the more I am less interested in his character, because it's not something that normally happens, right? I think it's definitely the less interesting route, because now his attitude and his mindset is similar to Revi. And the biggest plus with Rock and Revi's relationship is that they have clashes, they have clashing ideologies, that should have stuck. And to not see that happen is disappointing. Art is fantastic, of course. And this is the first time a manga has a main character, right? Like Benny, where he doesn't really get involved a lot. Very early on, he had little to no scenes at all. It's kind of crazy to see that happen. And he did get a little more screen time in the arc he was involved with. He was barely there, so that's interesting. I mean, I think he's a cool character design wise and just how he is, but I kind of wish there was more, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all my thoughts on Black Lagoon. It's great art style, art direction's fantastic too, world building's incredible, but again, like, it's only interesting when the main characters are involved. And I just really wish that Rock went a different direction. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I do recommend reading it. And if you guys disagree with me on the direction of Rock, like if it should be different, or you think it should just stay the course it's at now, remember, you can email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com. Give me your thoughts. Let us know if I'm in the wrong, right? I'd love to hear other opinions about the state of Black Lagoon is right now. And remember, you can always stay caught up with us on social media at Unversed Podcast, anywhere you go. And don't forget, coming up is Comic-Con Palm Springs at the time of this recording. It's right around the corner almost, and we will be there. So if you're going to be there, be sure to swing by, say hi. We'll be walking around. I'll probably be wearing some cosplays, and it's all going to be a good time. So check the main episodes for updates on that, and we'll give you a breakdown as that gets closer to the date. And thanks for listening as always, guys. And remember, we will talk to you next time.
Cha-ra-ra-ra, 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 chan cha-ra-ra-ra, chan cha-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra, chan chan。ジャックが仲間になった。